This is your guide to wind up and crank stands with Avenger. Hi, I'm Nathan from UK-based production house Still Moving Media. We're diving deep into the world of Avenger wind up and crank stands, the heavy-duty workhorses of the lighting world. By the end of this video, you'll have a solid understanding of how these stands work, when to use them, and why they're such a valuable part of your kit. Sure, light stands might not be the most glamorous part of filmmaking or lighting, but getting to grips with them is a game changer. Understanding stands means mastering problem solving on set. It helps you plan better, prep smarter, and choose the right gear to light any scene with confidence. So let's get into it. When it comes to light stands, there are lots of options out there, and even more when it comes to what you put on top of them. Today, we're focusing on the larger crank and wind-up stands designed for heavier fixtures and rigging. But before we get into the details, like the differences between an Avenger Strato and an Avenger Banshee, it's important to understand where these stands sit in the wider ecosystem of lighting support. The first part of this guide will cover some foundational info, stuff that seasoned crew members likely will already know. So if you're here for the deep dive into crank stands and wind-up stands, feel free to skip ahead to part 2 and use the timeline in this video to find that. Part 1. Where do wind-up stands and crank stands fit in? Alright, let's talk stands. We're starting small with one of the most compact options in the Avenger range. Meet the baby stand. It's called a baby stand because it features a baby pin on top, and the larger ones have a maximum height of 4.5 meters. This little stand is lightweight, nimble, and easy to tuck into tight spaces on set. Baby stands vary in payloads, in size, and also in features. It's ideal for smaller fixtures and lightweight lighting control tools. Think of it as your go-to for quick setups or when space is tight. This here is an absolutely tiny baby stand, but there's many sizes available. Baby stands like this are everywhere. They're probably the most common type of light stand you'll see on sets all around the world, from small indie shoots to major productions. They're used for all sorts of tasks across lighting setups of every size. Most Avenger light stands come with a leveling leg. A leveling leg is a single adjustable leg that lets you keep the center column straight if you're on uneven ground. Super handy for when you're working on a slope or in locations with tricky terrain. Baby stands from Avenger are built tough. They're made from steel, heavy duty, and they're built to last. These stands are perfect for light fixtures, small rigs like short T-bars, and for holding frames or large flags. You can also get some of the Avenger baby stands in black aluminium versions, which are great because they're lighter and great for portability. The black aluminium version have a reduced payload capacity compared to the chrome steel version. Next up, the C-stand. A true staple for gaffers, sparks, and independent filmmakers all over the world. These versatile stands come in all different sizes with various payloads. With must-have accessories like grip heads and arms, honestly, they deserve a series of their own. Avenger has a huge range, and if you want to go on a deep dive into how to use C-stands on set, drop us a comment and let us know. Back to conventional stands, let's talk about the next step up in payload and versatility, combo stands. Like its smaller sibling, the baby stand, combo stands come in a wide range of sizes and finishes. Known as the combo stand here in the UK, you'll hear different names all around the world for it. Avenger's combo stands feature a junior receiver and a pop-out baby pin at the top, making them super versatile for 2-in-1 options on set. They range massively in sizes, from ones that are less than a meter high, all the way up to 4.5 meters. You'll mostly see combo stands used for lighting fixtures, but they're also great for rigging, from goalpost rigs to T-bars and frames. There's also the noteworthy alternative for frames and overhead rigs, being an overhead stand, which comes either with a junior receiver and pop-up baby pin, like the combo stand we've just seen, or with a jumbo grip head with a junior receiver. These stands come in a range of payloads and heights, but tend to be for larger frames in a studio setting, or small to medium frames on location. Although you're going to find combo stands on sets all around the world, they have limitations, which is where the wind-up stand and crank stand come in. Hey Josh, can you send that fixture 2.5 meters up in the air please? Combo stands have to be manually lifted, which means although they can hold larger payloads than a baby stand and a C-stand, you're limited by the strength of the individual lifting the stand. And after a long week of shooting and lifting lights up and down all day, even the strongest of us will feel the burn in our arms. Josh, change that combo out for a wind-up. And that is the magic of a crank or wind-up stand. It requires less effort, they have significantly higher payloads than other stands that we've seen, and they're safer when sending fixtures up high. That takes us on to our next part. Part 2, wind-up stands. Avenger has a range of options when it comes to wind-up stands and crank stands, as no one stand does it all. Stands is about choices. Each one excels at doing one thing, but at the cost of something else. This part is about understanding this so you can choose the right stand for the job. Before we jump into model numbers and practical demos, it's important to understand how these stands actually work, as crank stands and wind-up stands both use different mechanisms. Crank stands require the user to use a ratchet crank handle to raise each riser individually. A crank and a gear mechanism does the heavy lifting, making it safer and easier to elevate or lower heavy fixtures without relying on brute strength. Wind-up stands, on the other hand, use an internal chain or cable-driven system. They're even quicker to operate and can be adjusted from a single position, making them super efficient on set. Both systems include built-in safety features that prevent the stand from suddenly dropping if the handles are released. So let's go into the studio where we have a full range of Avenger wind-up stands. Let's get started with the key differences between them. The first thing to consider is height, as there are some big differences between how high each stand can go. This is a super wind-up stand. Avenger have a few different models which vary in heights. This one specifically is a Super Wind-Up 29, which can go 2.9 meters up in the air and is great for small studio sets or flying a light fixture up outside the ground floor of a house. But even 2.9 meters isn't high enough for some applications. Introducing the Strato. Absolute mammoth of a stand. They come in a few different models, varying sizes and payloads, and the largest goes all the way up to 6.2 meters high. This enormous stand is the perfect tool for sending a lighter up outside the second floor of a building or hoisting large rigs up above a studio. In our studios at Still Moving, we use Stratos to hold a truss rig across our White Cove, as they can get really high up and have a big payload capacity. But as we said earlier, light stands are about choices and a small degree of sacrifice. On my own, I can lift a super wind-up around, load it in and out of the truck, as well as set it up by myself. A Strato, on the other hand, I'm going to struggle. It is not a single person lift, and even getting a light fixture onto the top of it is a team effort. So if we need the height but ease of use, a Banshee might be the other option. A Banshee can go almost 3.4 meters high and can be easily loaded in and out by one person. It can't go the full height of a Strato, but it can take a payload of 120 kilos. It's super easy to load fixtures on and off due to its relatively low height, and with amazing studio wheels you can move it around with ease. Another key difference between the Banshee and the Strato is that the Strato is a crank stand and has a crank handle, which is used to lift each riser individually, whereas the Banshee is a wind-up stand and has a built-in chain-driven mechanism with a released push bar. That's this button here that you have to click to wind the stand back down once it's up at height. The Banshee mechanism is quick to use, meaning you can adjust on the go. If you like the speed and easy to use system of the Banshee, but need a similar height of a Strato, then the famous Long John Silver might be the perfect option. This incredibly popular stand is used everywhere, all over the world, mostly for large lighting fixtures and overhead rigs. Lastly, if you're not worried about height and you need something that is easy to load on, then a Buccaneer might be the one for you. This stand was designed for the Arri S360, but can still be used with lots of other fixtures. It can be lowered all the way to the ground, making it really easy to load fixtures on and off. It uses the same style mechanism that the Banshee and Long John use, so it can be used easily and quickly. Now that we've seen the main stands in the Avenger lineup, let's look at some key features that you'll find across these larger stands. Starting off with the wheels. A feature that you'll find on pretty much all of these larger stands in the Avenger range is the rotating locking pin. This is a pin that drops into place to stop the wheel angle changing. This helps with stability and also helps moving them around by fixing the wheels in a certain position, but allows the wheels to keep spinning so that you can still wheel them around. These stands also have a very strong wheel brake. So my top tip is to never use your hand to undo a wheel or to do it up. Always use your foot and preferably be wearing some nice heavy duty boots whilst you're doing it. Because all three of those wheels have a rotation locking pin, it means you can set them up in a few different ways depending on the distance you're traveling. If you ever find yourself in a stand race against someone else over a long distance, I'd recommend locking all three pins to keep the wheels all facing the same direction. For medium distances, my preference is to lock two of the wheels and leave one freely rotating at the front. This helps quickly maneuver and turn corners. If you're in the studio and only need to go a few meters, then all three wheels can be left unlocked. There's a few different combinations that you can use when you're moving these stands around. Folded up, unfolded, wheels locked, unlocked. These variations can all help depending on what distance you have to travel and what kind of terrain you're going over. All of these wind-up and crank stands have junior pin receivers at the top. as they're generally used with larger fixtures that require junior pins. But you could use an adapter like the E200 in the Avenger range, or even a jumbo grip head, also known as a junior grip head or lollipop, depending on where you are in the world. Some stands also have metal anchor points at the top, which can be used for additional bracing when you're using them outside. My favourite feature, which we saw earlier on the junior and baby stands, is the levelling leg. This levelling leg is ideal when you're working on uneven surfaces. The Banshee, Buccaneer, Long John and Long John Junior all have rotating rubber parts which extend the leg outwards and inwards for easy levelling. All you have to do is spin it around until the centre column is pointing straight up. Make sure to use the wheel brakes and rotation locks for the wheels for maximum stability. Some of the wind-up stands in the Avenger range have a little spirit level to see whether your stand is level. This is perfect when you're using the levelling leg out on location. Now that we've been through some similar features of these stands, let's take a detailed look at Banshee, Buccaneer, Long John, Strato and Super wind-ups. Starting off with the Banshee, which comes out with me on most location shoots because of its awesome design and because of its clever storage design, maximising space inside the truck. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Starting off with the powder coat finish. This stand looks beautiful. It is the only Avenger stand to currently have this black finish, and my god does it look cool. This stand can easily blend into the background of a scene or the edge of frame for a dark set. It stores in a tiny footprint, and thanks to the triangle shape, you can stack multiple stands in a very small area, ideal for transporting them in the truck. The Banshee has this fold-out handle which makes it easy to move around when it's folded. All you have to do is pull this pin out, fold the handle up, and you're good to go. I personally use these handles to move the stand when it's got small payloads on top. It can be unfolded by a single person and has a really small footprint once it's fully set up. On top is a junior receiver, and the stand has a maximum payload of 120 kilos, which means you can put a lot on this stand. You can use it for a huge number of scenarios, both in the studio and on location. It goes up 338 centimeters to be precise, which is great for most ground level locations and small studio sets. The levelling leg that we saw earlier and the quick and easy wind-up mechanism make it the perfect stand for working in a studio. And it weighs 82 kilos, which is pretty average for a stand like this. It does need a little bit of muscle if you need to lift it upstairs or into a truck without tail lift, but between two people, we often move this stand around easily. Let's chat Buccaneer. This newish design from Avenger is really clever. This stand was designed around fixtures like the Arri S360, which can be awkward to load onto larger stands because of the height you need to get to. Thanks to its low loading height of just under 95 centimeters, it's really simple and safe to get heavy fixtures on and off. The stand drops down to ground level using the rotating supports, which means you can literally load it in at waist height. The stand is great for uneven surfaces, with each leg having its own levelling leg. The benefit of this one really is the low loading height for heavy fixtures. If you need to get something up high, this may not be the stand for you. Like we said earlier, choosing a stand is about making small compromises. This stand does go up 3 meters, just under what the Banshee does, so it's still ideal for a lot of situations. It has a payload of 80 kilos, suitable for most large fixtures. A standout feature is the height gauge, which shows you how high the stand is as you wind it up and down. This can be really helpful for getting a light back into the same position after bringing them back down to adjust, or if you have to get them back to a previous lighting setup. We tend to put a little bit of tape on there, mark out where it is, so that we can easily get it back to where it was. The Long John Silver, the GOAT of large lighting stands, found on film sets all around the world. This thing is a tank. It can lift 120 kilos of payload up to 5.7 meters in the air. I've seen them used for countless rigs, but most of the time you'll find them with a massive light on the top for outside location, or firing a light through a window on the 2nd or 3rd floor of buildings. It is Avenger's flagship light stand, but with a minimum height of 177 centimeters, it also takes a team to mount a fixture onto the top. It has a female junior receiver at the top, as standard across the other light stands that we've seen in this range. Lastly, we have the Avenger Strato Safe Stand. There's a few different models that Avenger make. This one is a 4-riser stand, which means it's got 4 sections that lift up. Each riser has its own crank mechanism, which needs this tool to crank them up and down. The crank tool has a little switch on the side, which indicates whether you're cranking up or cranking down. Each riser has an individual red safety switch, which needs to be held whilst you're cranking the stand back down. The Strato Safe stands all feature a junior receiver at the top, and tether points for using the wind bracing kit. Each riser also has a handle for locking it off to stop you being able to move it up and down. All of these heavy duty light stands from Avenger have puncture-proof foam-filled wheels, giving you a smooth ride every time. The biggest question I hear all the time is why would you choose one stand over another? And what's the best light stand? There's no simple answer here, but the best light stand is the one that does the job, ultimately holding whatever you need, wherever you need it. I have a simple process I personally work to, but this changes from one person to the next. For context, we're a production company who shoot branded content all over the world with small to medium crews. Anything from a single filmmaker and an assistant, all the way to a fully crewed lighting department with gaffer, grips, multiple sparks. When I'm planning a shoot, the first consideration is how many crew I have to move kit around, as well as their level of expertise. Most of the time, if it's just me on my own or me plus an assistant, I have these lightweight aluminium Avenger baby stands with me. I can carry a few at a time without straining, but I'm limited by the height and payload of them. When it comes to using our largest light fixtures, which can weigh well over 40 kilos, I've only really got wind up and crank stands to pick from, as the payload of a combo stand tends to be limited at around the 40 kilo mark. As well as that, I can't expect my crew to be lifting that sort of weight up and down on a stand all day long. So the next question becomes, how high does that light need to go? If I'm lighting the downstairs of a home, simulating sunlight, then I only really need to get that light 3 meters off the ground. Either a Banshee or Buccaneer will do the job. My next thought is the location. If it's a studio set, then either of those would work fine. But ideally, I'd like to go for the Buccaneer to make loading on and off with my assistant easier. The Buccaneer or Banshee are fine for these sort of scenarios because the loading height isn't too bad. I can easily do it with me plus another person. If I'm out at a location house with multiple lighting fixtures, then I'm also thinking about transport, ultimately asking how many light stands and what size light stands can I fit inside the van or truck. The Banshee with its stackable storage design means I can get more in the truck, so that also is a consideration. Equally, a wind-up stand like the Super Wind-Up would also do the job. Lastly, I need to think about the space I have available. The Banshee's smaller footprint is ideal for hiding it in a corner or getting it on smaller surface areas. But what happens if I need to get that fixture up to the second floor? Well, a Banshee would get me some of the way there, but won't give me the flexibility of moving it higher than the actual window. It's time for something bigger. Enter the Long John or the Strato. They are the perfect tool for getting lights really high up in the sky without having to bring in another tool like a cherry picker or a crane. So that is a short summary on choosing the best light stand for larger fixtures. It's about choices. No stand is absolutely perfect and does everything you need it to do. There are small compromises you've got to make along the way. And that completes our guide for wind up and crank stands with Avenger. I hope this has been nice and informative and maybe make you rethink your light stand choices for your next project. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Avenger content.